Okay, so Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I thought maybe I would start with a question, and the question simply is, how do you define stress? How do you define what is stress to you? What do you reckon? Push, can you switch this off, please? Chemical reaction. What do you think is stress?
Situation that makes you feel bad.
Situation that makes you feel bad. Zain?
Um, things that you don't enjoy and demands.
Things that you don't enjoy, demands.
I mean, in physics, stress is like you apply some kind of external force. Internally, how that manifests, or cause and effect sort of thing.
Okay, cause and effect. Okay. So maybe what we can agree is stress makes you feel uncomfortable. Yeah, makes you feel discomfort. But what stress is simply a demand. It's a demand either you place on yourself or others place on you. Now, once a demand is accepted, okay, I have to get this done by this time, and put a time limit on it, your stress levels rise. Stress also happens when we crave something, when we want something that we're craving it. Then same thing happens with the biology. So when we trigger this system, it's like a system in us. So um, I give you a question and I say, okay, you've got to answer this question in the next 30 seconds. And I begin a countdown. And you will find there's one or two reactions. One, you'll really try hard to find an answer to the question. The others will look at it and say, I can't do it, and just step back. But the ones who try and find the answers, their blood pressure will go up, their heart rate will go up, their biophysical, the speed at which the blood flows through their body changes. And because blood is electrical, blood has a charge to it. That charge is influenced. Endocrine system is influenced. Your hormones, your thyroid glands, adrenal glands, all that stuff starts kicking off, pituitary gland, all of that. All of this happens the moment you put a bit of demand on you. That's it. Now, we are, as human beings, this is a system in us, meaning it's a system that gives us the extra energy in order to achieve a task. So you're hungry, you need to go and get something to eat, you're looking for some prey, you're in that flight fight space, and that enables you to be more sharper, more acutely aware, and then you can go and hunt something or whatever it is, right? So just like look at it very basic. But much of our stress today is stress that we put on ourselves, expectations from ourselves, the way we should be looking at a particular age, that if someone is judging us, if our social media posts don't get enough likes, or if someone criticizes it, we take it to our heart and we begin to then work with it, and it becomes our stress. And as a result of that, not does it just change all those things in your body, but far more important, it restricts your ability to become greatly, increase your awareness. It restricts it. Because when you're in a stress space, you will find that that stress blocks you. It keeps you focused on whatever demand is issued upon you. The implications of this are your body will begin to ache, you will have high blood pressure, your cortisol levels will change, your hormonal levels will change. And every time you get stressed, there are some hormones that will kind of increase, and then they will decrease as you de-stress. But there is one particular cortisol which seems to increase, then stays for a while. And then next time you get stressed, increases a bit more, and then a bit more, and then a bit more. making your body feel comfortable only when it's under that pressure. Yeah. So adrenaline junkies, etc., very much wish to induce that. Yeah. Whereas the actual impact of that is what leads to inflammation. And inflammation by default will lead to cellular malfunction. And this is where illnesses begin. And then, as you find, more and more people are getting more and more physically unwell. But all of this physical unwellness begins in the mind. And because we're so poorly educated on the nature of the mind, we really don't know how to deal with stress. Why does meditation work with stress control or stress management? Why? Simply because you begin to observe the patterns that you are playing within yourself, and you realize that actually the stories you're telling yourself are stress inducing. The way you talk to yourself, the way you criticize yourself, the way you put demands on yourself, the way you compare yourself, contrast yourself, and compete constantly in this space. And then we complain that our knees are aching, our joints are aching, we can't sleep, and so on and so forth. So, as a result of meditation, we can learn to manage stress. So, stage one is to recognize that stress begins with you, within yourself. It begins in the mind. Secondly, only through awareness of what's going on within yourself can you regulate. And what does regulate mean? It means when you get the flight fight response system kicked off, you recognize what it's doing for you. You recognize the emotional space that it's brought, which is a feedback system. Through the feedback system, you regulate yourself either through the breath or through movement or through grounding, whatever works with you, singing. And some people regulate, go and have a glass of wine, whatever it takes. We regulate ourselves. But we need to first recognize that stress is simply a demand that's placed upon us. So to deal with stress, identify the demand. Is it a psychological demand? Is it a self made demand? Is it a story you're telling yourself? Or is it coming from an external space? And as a result, we can then deal with this. Humanity is now moving into, and this is really my closing space today, into this space now, which we were anticipating, I think, early last year, that by July, August, September, October, November in particular, you will find that there is more language to do with space, extraordinary UFO kind of thing. And now you will find that if you were to look in the right place, that there are some objects which are being kind of moving towards Earth. They are very huge. I think one of them is called L3L Atlas or something of that nature. But it's beginning to get into people's psyche. Now, give yourself 2 or 3 months and imagine whether this is artificially constructed in order to have another kind of hold on humanity like the COVID thing was, or whether it is actual. How does human beings react when they realize that there is a hostile force, perhaps, that is extraterrestrial? You're no longer worried about the people on the boats. There's a whole new stress level that comes up. And when you get into those new stress levels, you particularly with a um, um, otherworldly, let's call it that, space, then all your belief systems begin to be questioned. All your religious authorities begin to be questioned. And on top of that, not knowing and knowing that all those around you are in the same boat can lead to a communal space of what we call communal or mass psychosis, where you don't know how to deal with this. And this is where events seem to be unfolding. That those who are holding on to their reality is now starting to become even more scrutinized, that the reality that we're holding on to may not be the reality that is, which is why meditation, wisdom, together with meditation on its own ain't enough. You need to have the wisdom, the doorway, the pathway. With the wisdom, one can navigate through this process. So, when such noise comes up, whether it's through your media or social media or your echo chambers, the key thing to remember is don't put yourself under a demand. Yeah? Maintain. As long as you look at yourself in the present moment, you will find 99 times out of 100, all is okay. It's occasionally, when you look within yourself, you will find there may be a disturbance. But most of the time, you are in a good space. But if we start thinking, it will automatically kick off anxiety, fear, and even other much more deeper existential questions. So this is it's a caution to say, as things become a little bit more weirder, not that they can, but they are going to do that, it's important to realize that you do not allow yourself to go into a rumination or storytelling where you become the victim, or place a demand upon yourself based on other people's stories. Otherwise, you and everyone else are doing no favors to themselves, and we are simply pushing ourselves towards this illness, towards a space where we are obviously more prone to inflammation, etc., because of the mind body connection. And that's the key. Remember that the body and the mind are connected. So if your mind is disturbed, your body is disturbed. If your mind is content, you are content. The body is in homeostasis. And this is really what is now required, because the underlying current to all of this is the emergence of a spiritual ontology, spiritual space. And I'm not, even that word spiritual is just such a nonsense word. It doesn't capture. What it is the breakdown of the fixed reality that we have all been schooled, educated, and conditioned in. That's what it is. And the emergence of what's on the other side, as one is deconstructed, what's on the other side is something that needs to be looked at from a position of consciousness and awareness, reacting to external circumstances and internal circumstances. If you find yourself in any discomfort, ask yourself, what is the demand that's been placed on you? And when things are being told and you have all sorts of information, whether it's a new COVID variant or whether it's space aliens or whatever it is, ask yourself, am I putting myself under a false demand? And make sure that you are aware of that. And yes, if there is a real risk, then you take the precautions. But don't allow yourself to be falling into those storytelling. Okay, let's do our meditation. I think that was about it, no?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, this actually, you hear about people who really thrive under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
How do they relate?
Is a demand. Your hormonal, your body changes in order for you to achieve whatever the objective is. And what I'm saying is that there is um, um, an addiction to that. There's an addiction to that, not just physiological, meaning that every time you're under stress, every time you achieve something, it's like gamblers. Yeah, there's an addictive space to that where you get some comfort in having achieved something. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. All it's doing is simply building up. Yes, you may achieve a lot, but you may lose your health in the process of it.
I just wonder, like, there's people who work in like
Yeah,
high performance industry, like say Formula One.
yeah.
They sleep for like 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah.
They run on passion, and they just seem to be able to do extraordinary things.
Sure.
But I just wonder, like, so what's
Uh,
the difference between them and the normal person who gets like overwhelmed?
I think anyone can train themselves to be able to be highly efficient. Yeah, it depends what your motive is and where you get your reward, whatever it may be. whether it's money, whether it's winning, Formula One, etc., or whether it's dealing with the shareholders, etc. There's always a demand on you, an external demand on you that pushes you to go to these lengths. Why do you need to break records? Because there's a demand on you. You don't do it for the sake of doing it. Mount Everest was there for thousands of years. Yeah. It's only over the last 50, 80 years that people started going up and saying, hey, look, I've climbed the mountain. What's the point? Do you understand? It's
It means something to them, I guess.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It means it's subjective. It's subjective.
And I guess it's up to you to decide what's